We're here at a road course for the CNC Logging Truck Series presented by Area, and it's going to be a fantastic race. These guys are going to be flying over the curbs you can see on your screen right there and beating and banging as they're all trying to fight for the final few playoff spots before we see 4 drivers eliminated for their championship hopes. Who's going to be in? Who's going to be out? We're going to find out in just a little bit. But my name is Finney DeCuna here with Corey Silva. Corey, it's been a really long time since you've been in the booth with me. I can't even remember the last race you've done together, but I'm glad to have you with me in the booth for this race. It's going to be a technical road course for these guys. Some of these guys can be pretty happy coming to a road course. Some of the guys probably not so much.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've been here on Sim TV, but happy to be back. And as you said, the Roval does bring on a whole bunch of different challenges with kind of having some street course style elements with a lot of concrete walls and such funneling you in on the infield, but you still have the high speed oval sections with heavy braking. So it definitely will bring the ringers out to play, and I think some of that is indicated by our times here in practice thus far, but should definitely be a good evening and a good playoff decider.
Indeed, and we'll actually go through your points in just a little bit right here. We'll take a look at the point standings. Ryan Hart's locked in, loaded, ready to go into the next round after he won last week at Homestead, Miami. Brad Slaughter Jr. in behind him, James Shainwolf, Cameron Hearn, Colin Farrell, Paul Irving, your top 6. And then you start to get into more of the gray area of guys on the bubble. Justin Anasagak, Tyler Hallman, still good, but really close to that border. Travis Beckner, Garrett Grant, Hunter Collier, and Jacob Bell. Those are the guys, they're going to be trying to go in and trying to go out. We saw last night a 3-way tie for the final spot after one of the playoff drivers that was in, not locked in, but that he's in. He ended up wrecking out early on, and everyone else is vying for the final spot. Do you think we may see something similar here, Corey, or do you think we may see something a little bit more streamlined, something more predictable?
Well, we do have the competition caution, I believe, as you said, that's going to make sure that we don't spread out too much. That'll keep these guys together. But the most famous instance of that, Finian, we have to go back to 2017 with the Cup Series race here with Truex in Johnson. Johnson needed to get in. He needed that win. And what did he do? He overshot it and took himself out. So especially here at a very tough road course, if you have that opportunity right in front of you, I think you're going to go for it, but it's very easy to overstep your boundaries here and cause yourself some more heartache.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Truck Series team standings. David Weisenhart Racing going to be just ahead, about 10 points ahead of Elwood Designs Esports. In second place, Elite Entertainment. Third place in line with Jacob Bell Racing, also in fourth. All fairly close together, only separated by about 10 points apiece. So very close in the team standing as well. But before we go back live, we'll take a look. I have a video of what happened last week at Homestead, Miami. Take a look.
CNC Logging Truck Series playoffs are about to begin. Ryan Hartz and Cameron Hearn share the front row. We roll off at turn 4. Pace truck pulls off, and we're going trucking in Homestead. Green flag flies into racing at Homestead in the Truck Series playoffs.
We see one.
Oh, big crash out of turn 4. Trouble, and 5 cars around. Tyler Hallman is not one of them. Jacob Bell is. He's got big-time damage, and there are a whole bunch of others with him. Oh, right. It starts up ahead with the 58 and the 5. A big impact there. Garrett Grant, the receiving end of that. Let's go back a little further and see how this all started. 58's kind of turning down the racetrack, and they just kind of come across. Oh, look at that impact. And the 77 of Bell has nowhere to go. Neither does the 11 of Jordan Martin.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they just unfortunately met in the same piece of asphalt. One was coming down, one was coming up.
Ooh.
Oh, and some contact in behind. Danny Ware and the 55 of Adam Capps.
Capps gets in there as well. Then after all this, the 18 was trying to pull away, and I think actually runs into the 55 again.
The next truck ahead of Hallman is 15 seconds up the road. New pass for position. Oh, Shainwolf wrecking loose off of turn 2.
Lost the lead to Hartz, but almost crashed out of turn 2. Let's go back and have a look. He gets put middle 3 wide with Fambro on the outside, and big slide, gathers it up and continues, but now is in second place. Hartz takes the lead away at a critical stage in this race.
Beckner not giving up, still looking to the inside.
Ooh, that was a little close. That was really close. Whoa, they slammed doors in turn 1. They're still grinding doors along each other there.
Oh, this may get ugly.
Well, I
Half
think,
left to go.
yeah, I think Hearn.
Oh, entangle they may. Here we go. Big dive setting up from Beckner into turn one. Is he going to give the 67 any space? Will the 67 give any space?
Turn two, going to be a drag race down the backstretch between these two. Outside is the 67, inside is the 28. While these two battle out at turn four, Ryan Hart's a last run pass outlasts the best of the rest. Checkered flag. Ryan Hart's gets it done at Homestead. For second place, Shane Wolf. For third, Beckner and Hearn tangling this time, but Beckner's going to grab it away.
Oh, Hearn's out of gas.
Oh, well, that doesn't help.
Oh, wow, he lost to Anasogak. He lost fourth place to him at the line.
Oh.
By 25 thousandths of a second.
As Ryan Hart's comes to celebrate, and it was that pass late in the going that did it. 36 laps led. The final 19 was all it took.
And you saw it right there. It was Ryan Hart's in the number 3 who took the victory at Homestead, Miami, and he's looking pretty good, at least in practice. Currently top of the chime sheets. And we know that Hart's is a fast driver. We were just talking about it before the show. This is not the first time he's been on SimTV. We've covered him in an older league, Hardline Racing League, a long time ago, I think 3 or so years ago. So it's been a while since we've seen Ryan Hart's, but he's been doing pretty solid ever since then. And also one driver I wanted to point out, too, who may do pretty well. Brad Slaughter, he had a pretty solid run last night. Remember I mentioned that three-way tie for that final playoff spot? Well, Brad Slaughter was the driver. He was 12th in the points coming into the round and just snagged that final 8th place spot after finishing 5th. So I would say he's got a pretty fast car, a pretty fast truck in this case, underneath him. Also a beautiful paint scheme. Looks really good in the sunlight. So I expect to see this truck up near the front of the field. He's got a much more comfortable points position to work with. He doesn't have to worry about elimination. So I expect to see this 81 truck do fairly well.
Yeah, and that'll definitely be a breath of fresh air for him at this track where, you can get caught up in other people's mistakes rather easily. So just to know that any mistake that may happen is not going to be catastrophic, definitely going to work in his favor. Currently about a second off of Hart's time, but I don't take lap times here too seriously because there's going to be so much fall off and so many opportunities for mistakes. I think being about a second off, he still has potential to probably run on the podium or so. Just given the course of what can happen here over a race.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, especially compared to last night, right? Because I honestly didn't really realize how, like I said, the current version of the next gen is when it comes to a lack of tire wear. We saw the leaders pretty much run the entire set of tires to the end of the race, and I was kind of keeping an eye on their lap times. They're only maybe a few tenths off. I think 3 or 4 tenths off, which is, you could factor into, a little bit of wear and, just not being that consistent. But it was crazy how consistent they were on the tires, again, to carry them the whole distance. With the trucks, though, I think it's going to be a completely different story. With the next-gen cars also being built a little bit more to drive on road courses, I feel like with the trucks, they're really awkward, heavy to move around here. It requires a lot of throttle control, a lot of wheel input control as well, and as you mentioned, you can easily burn up the tires.
Yeah, and I definitely expect, as we do have our limited fuel load here, and we're our estimations that we have 15 to 17 laps, Finian, on a fuel tank here. We are competition caution right around lap number 10 with the pits closing around lap number 8. It'll be interesting to see, do you want to wait until the end of the fuel load? Do you want to take 2 sets of tires? I think we're due for a lot of strategy, which will definitely potentially shake up that playoff cut line.
Yeah, we did see some strategy with that competition caution because the pits closed a little bit early. Some guys decided to come in early. Some guys decided to wait till the caution comes out. So we could see a bit of a split on strategy. It's kind of nice to have that caution for the strategy and also just for getting everyone back together again. Especially because you can definitely start to see these races stretch out after a while. But with 33 laps, it's going to be a fairly short race too. So I won't expect these guys to get too separated out. But practice, I should say, coming to an end here in just a little bit. We're going to get ready for qualifying and getting ready to see these guys get out there, put their best lap times out. And qualifying, I feel, is going to be extremely important here.
Yeah, there's different ways to go about it, Finian. Sometimes me, who's not that good, but I usually run a banker lap and then I'll try to do a faster lap. Sometimes that's a good strategy because if sometimes it's easy to get 1x incidents here, especially on all the chicanes. So you don't want to have that happen twice. So we'll see if these guys decide to take 2 laps or just try to do 1 and call it quits.
And qualifying just now getting underway. You can see the 56 AJ Roderick, one of the first guys to roll out. Imagine we'll see a slow trickle of cars coming out onto the track. But as qualifying starting, first got to thank one of our sponsors, Area iRacing Shop. Fans, be sure to check out areiaracing.shop for merchandise you represent your favorite driver. Shop them for our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use the code STRIPE in all caps. That's STRIPE for 10% off your order. That's nice of them to give that little bit of a deal. Again, that's areiaracing.shop for that deal. Got to thank them for coming on board, sponsoring this series. There's been some really great racing in the few weeks, only 2 weeks I think we've been covering this series. These guys are really solid, caliber. They did a great job at Homestead, only one caution, and it wasn't even the fact that they weren't really close to each other. There was fierce competition throughout the night. Guys going side to side, guys dooring each other. Especially something similar. Even last night too, the race was really solid up in the top, and even the midfield passing happening all throughout the evening.
Yeah, that's great to see. And, as we kind of talked about, some of these names are familiar, both to some prior Sim TV leagues as well as some leagues that I've covered over on my side. But we are still focusing on the 3 truck right now, Ryan Hartz. And one thing I did notice, Finian, with the, I can't remember with Roderick we were following, that outlap he was taking was super duper slow, trying to preserve every last bit of those Goodyear Eagles for his Q lap. As Roderick on track right now, heading onto the Bank of America Bridge into the infield section here.
Yeah, and I think he's also not planning on going full tilt on this lap. He's in 3rd gear. You can easily drop it down to 2nd. He's definitely just putting around on this first lap. So, but you were talking earlier a little bit about the banker lap and the flying lap. I think for some of these guys, they may feel they might as well just go good on one full lap. But as you mentioned, the problem is, very easy to get one axis here, especially with the 2 chicanes. You blow through the chicane, your lap's done. And it's not going to count, and you have a chance of starting in the back. And that's kind of the big risk versus reward these guys are going to have to face if they want to put, have 2 solid attempts or 1 really good attempt.
Yeah, because that lap 1, if you screw up lap 1 and you're going full song on it, lap 2 at best is going to be probably 85-90% of what lap 1 could have been. So, as you said, that risk versus reward concept. And if you're on the playoff bubble, do you really want to go for it if you know that you have a fast lap time? Things to take advantage of here at Charlotte, as you can see the turtles here, Finian. I don't think we brought the turtles up here as we're coming down on the front stretch chicane. They're built to make sure that you don't cut the course, but they will fly that truck in the air, and you can utilize them as a way to help the truck turn. But you can also utilize them as a way to fly and damage the truck, a very fine line and a very tricky tool there.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the next-gen car was doing pretty good on the curbs, was able to, for the most part, ride over them in a few sections. You couldn't completely go over them, obviously, but with these trucks, I think you're going to have to respect them a little bit more. It's going to throw the car up in the air, upset the suspension, and just really transform the way the car handles mid-corner. It can easily bump you off the racing line and worse into the grass, so definitely want to be careful of where you use the curbs, especially, not just using them at all. As we look at Travis Beckner in the 28, currently top of the timesheets. Imagine that's going to change. Still, a lot of drivers have yet to put a time in.
Yeah, we haven't seen anybody break the 21-second bracket. We saw, I can't remember who it was. It was Hartz, and I can't remember who the other guy was, but there was one other driver that broke the 21-second bracket, but Beckner, as close as you can get to it with a 0-3. But some other fast guys still on the track now, and we'll see as we're on board with Brad Slaughter here coming through turn 4. Talked about him with that playoff comfort zone he has coming today.
Yeah, this is his second and last attempt. He ran a 124.6 last time. That was, I think, a banker lap across the line for him. Gonna be 6th, a 123.7. Ryan Hartz, he finished his Q run. He's gonna come to a crawl and end his attempt. Put in a 122.092. Beckner putting in a 122.027. So just a few hundredths of a second faster. Very close, especially for pole. You usually don't see that close of a gap on a road course, but there it is right there. Trying to look at anyone else might have a shot upsetting pole position here.
Yeah, we're showing Tyler Hallman here coming through, I guess, turn 14 here, as much as I want to call it turn 4. Coming down through the front stretch chicane here. We'll see if he decides to hop the curbs and kind of a modest attempt there through the curbs. He's 5th right now. We'll see if he can best that on lap number 2. He will remain just in that 5th spot with the 23.576.
Yeah, so he'll stay in there. Paul Swervin Irvin, as he's called. Ooh, he's swerving through the infield a little bit. See, you can see him struggling to get on the power. That's what we're talking about, that modulation on the throttle. It's so tempting to just get on the gas, but you need to be careful or you can easily loop yourself around.
And Infinity, one other aspect of Charlotte is, I mean, obviously we're at a Roval, so you're not going to have like, you know, Spa and Nürburgring style elevation. But for a Roval layout, there is a modest amount of elevation, and the car does, or truck, does get light in a couple segments, especially on the latter end of it because of that.
Exactly, especially that second part of the infield with that rise up, that slow right-hander. Many drivers get that corner wrong and easily go flying off the track because they just throw it in a little bit too hard, especially in the later part of a run. Number 9 of Irvin coming into the chicane hot. Gets it slowed down just enough. Takes a healthy helping of curb. And across the line for him, it'll be a 123.8. Good enough for 9th place.
Yeah. And he did not get through the chicane very well. He overshot the first segment, and that kind of set him up for that poor attempt on the second side of the chicane. So having a 9th place effort with that failed attempt was pretty good. We'll see if he can do better as we're following Colin Fambrough here. 10th spot, 23.86. Looks like that 23-second bracket is kind of the popular one. That's where most of these guys and probably most of the competition will be here, going from the 4th spot all the way down to 10th or even 11th.
Yeah, fairly close for the most part in the midfield. There's a big amount of separation. The top 3 within 0.8 of a second, and then everyone 4th on back is a second and a half off. So, but everyone within, let's see, 4th through 11th is about half a second. So you can see those kind of tiers. It's almost like you think of F1, you have like Mercedes, not this season, Red Bull, Ferrari up in the top, and everyone else scattered throughout in the midfield and the back end of the field. Similar kind of break up here. And not too many cars. Got Eric Wineland, the only car out on the track, putting down a time.
And naturally, something that a lot of these guys will do in qualifying is they'll use a lot of qualifying time just as extra practice. I'm not sure, but Wineland, in his instance, he has yet to turn a time, and we have 15 guys that have turned a time, about 10 or so that haven't. So 10 guys will just kind of suffice to starting at the tail end of the field. Whether that's a blessing or a curse, I guess we'll have to find out, but we'll see what Wineland can figure out as he exits the relatively new backstretch chicane here at Charlotte. Remember, the first version of this track had that absolute just chicane, which it felt so good when you nailed it, but when you didn't, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the chicane, except that if you missed it by a little bit, you ended up just dying.
Bubba Wallace, yeah. Bubba Wallace, who was the other? I can't remember. There was about 5 guys in Xfinity that absolutely mutilated that. Luckily, they still kept it for us on iRacing. We can still mutilate ourselves. Coming through the turn 1 heartburn turn here was Wineland. He put himself 7th on lap number 1, a pretty good time for him in the number 21 ride.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to have another attempt. He's a little bit slow. I think he knows that it's probably going to be the best that truck's going to offer him. I mean, that's definitely pretty solid to solid starting place. Second of the non-playoff drivers. Again, the playoff guys in green on the left-hand side and non-playoff drivers in black.
Indeed, as I think he is just doing what we said, just kind of getting some extra practice, and he extends the amount of drivers currently in that 23-second bracket. So, and that's where the money's going to be. But of course, those tight times up front with Beckner and Hartz, we'll see if maybe Grant, who's not too far off, maybe he can contend with them. But just under a minute of qualifying, Fidian, and then we'll get ourselves underway for, again, 33 laps here around Charlotte, which probably give or take about an hour or so, you'd say?
Yeah, just about an hour, especially factoring in that competition caution. For some of these guys, it may feel like an eternity around here. Again, having road courses in a predominantly oval league is always interesting because you have those few guys who are really good at the road courses and some of the guys who are really not. And really, again, when you're on that bubble of the playoffs, you really have to hope you're good at the road courses, right? Because this is your last chance to either make up spots or fall off the points. And again, we'll take a look at it before the session ticks back over here again. A lot of guys very close to that. Pretty much Paul Irvin. You can even probably throw in Colin Famera. Everyone from Colin Famera on Brack is a little bit at risk. Beckner with a really solid shot. He's just only 2 points out of Hallman and Anasogak. They're all really close together, 7th through 9th. That's where we're probably going to see the most change. But even if like we saw in the Cup race, if someone wrecks out, it's going to almost effectively open up a spot for everyone else to get more points at. And with that, we'll go to gridding here just a little bit. Trying to find where the leaders are. We'll work through your starting lineup. Starting on pole, as I mentioned, Travis Beckner in the number 28, putting in a solid time. Ron Hart's not too far off on the timesheet. It's going to be rolling off in 2nd place. In behind them in 3rd, it's going to be Garrett Grant in the 5 machine. Next to him, Adrian Roderick in the 56.
Rounding out our top 5, the 42 of Tyler Hallman with Justin
Anasogak.
I talked about that one, Anasogak. 7th place, we have Eric Weinman, as we just talked about. We just watched his lap with Brad Slaughter Jr. Again, he has that 33-point buffer in the playoffs.
And moving on back into 9th is going to be Jordan Martin lined up in the 11 truck. Next to him, Paul Swervin Irvin going line up in the 9 truck in 10th place.
In 11th, we have Colin Fambro, and then James Shanwolf in that 31 ride. He'll be rolling off in P12.
Back in 13th, Danny Ware is going to be lined up in the 18 truck. Next to him in 14, Kyle C. in the 39.
Jacob Bell in the 77 and 50. Sean Mitchell, the 58 machine, rolling off on the outside of row number 8.
And rolling on back in the row behind them in 17th, it's going to be Ryan Swan in 17th. Cameron Herring going to be starting all the way back in 18th in the 67. He's one of those playoff drivers. He's got a lot of work to do tonight.
Bobby Tinch in the 66, going to be at 19th. And rounding out our top 20, the 12 of James Litzenberger.
Back in behind them, Charles Caneda going to be rolling off in the 97. Matt Cochran in the 4 next to him. And your final row, it's going to be Adam Capps in the 55 with Logan Harmon rounding out your field of 24 trucks ready to go here at Charlotte. I imagine it's going to be a fun one here. The field already starting to roll off.
Yeah. And if any of our weather conditions here today, I don't think we talked about that yet. 72 degrees on the track, a blistering 121-degree track temp. We talked about tire wear. I think that is going to facilitate that. Modest humidity and 3-mile-an-hour wind, pretty negligible there. But that track temp absolutely blistering here in the Charlotte sun.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to be talking about it all night. The tire wear these guys are going to have to deal with. You're really going to need to make sure you make the least amount of mistakes. Locking up, very easy to do. The brakes on these trucks suck. There's no better way to put it. They are not good at all, and it's so easy to lock them up. And especially we got 2 chicanes. We don't just have one. We have 2 chicanes, very heavy braking zones, and even you can throw turn 1 in there too, another heavy braking zone. So easy to miss your braking point and just go head on through. And even worse, and we saw this a few times last night, guys just blowing on through and even going through on the curbs and damaging their trucks. So you're going to be very careful.
Yep, wheel hop, another name of the game here today as well, especially as the fuel load burns off, which is pretty easy with the 50% fuel load, getting a little bit squirrely on the brakes, and as the fuel and the tires wear, even turn at the exit of oval turn 4 onto the front stretch chicane there, Finian, you're slowing down and braking while on the banking and transitioning off the banking. As the tires wear and the fuel load lightens up, that's a lot of movement for a ill-handling truck to deal with.
Yeah, we're talking about the chicane right here. Very tricky. It looks a lot wider from the wide shot, but it is very tight, very much one lane through there if you're not careful. The truck's rolling on through onto the back stretch. You want to place any bets on an opening lap 1 wreck?
I'm going to say somewhere in the realm of P9, because remember, we aren't doing the reality start here where we kind of go right through the chicane and start on the standard oval. We are going to be firing off through the chicane here, which definitely does wad some things up. So hopefully everything is good, but if something happens, it's probably going to be later in the top 10. But these guys are kind of semi-cutting the chicane there and giving themselves each other the space they need, coming through the banking of oval 3 and 4, and we're about to get this thing underway, the Charlotte Roval 75.
Indeed, 33 laps on taps for these guys for the Area CNC Logging Truck Series. Just rolling their way on through to the chicane, the front stretch chicane, and we're going to get going. There you see the pace truck making the descent down on a pit lane. Field's going to be in control of Travis Beckner. Is he going to go early? Is he going to want to wait? He's got a little bit of option here to try to catch the 3 of Hearts off guard. Going very slowly. And waits a long time. Wait till the green comes out. We are green here at the Charlotte Roval and already side by side into turn 1.
Side by side into turn number 1. Big lunge from the 42 there, Tyler Hallman. He locked it up, but luckily was able to gather himself together here. But Hart's definitely ready to pounce here. Looking under the Bank of America bridge, took a look there, but Beckner shut the door.
Indeed, very close. Almost had a shot and the chance of getting it through, but it's going to be Beckner that wins out on this occasion. Still, though, we still have many attempts for Hart. His truck looks really racy.
Yeah, I think he's is the finite situation of, do you want to push now, or do you want to save the tires and see if you can get your competitor to push here? That's going to be the name of the game here as we head on to the banking for the first time this evening. There will be a little bit of draft here, Finian, nothing overly drastic, but if you are close enough, you might be able to get a little bit of a whiff here heading into the braking zone.
Yeah, Justin Anasagak, we're trying to work on the 81 Brad Slaughter Jr. couldn't get by down to the backstretch chicane for the first time. Hartz, almost giving the bumper to the back of the 28. I think he's definitely trying to show, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and it did cost him there. He didn't get off the chicane at all, and then lost about a half a second as he'll deal with the front stretch chicane. But look at the gap that these guys have already built on the rest of it. They've already gained about a second as we focus on the 56 of Roderick. He has Eric Wineman right on his back bumper here, and turn 1 here, Tom's heartburn turn.
Trying to get some speed out of turn 2 and into turn 3. Again, very tricky section because the walls are so close. One mistake can be disastrous. So almost trying to have a look up the inside. Couldn't quite get his truck alongside, so he's going to have to stay in behind for now. And this entire first part, leading up to the caution, is going to all be about guys figuring out their trucks. Ooh, speaking of which, 97, Charles Caneda going around in turn 2. Let's see what happened to him.
Locked it up a little bit on the 1 there, but
just
lost it. That is a very narrow portion of the track. As I kind of talked about some street circuit segments, that most certainly is one. Of course, street circuit's a big talk of the world if you're watching this live, but different opinions on that. But battle going on screen right now. The 54, Colin Fambro, Danny Ware, and Swerve and Irvin, I think, as you dictated him there, Finian, headed down to the backstretch.
Yeah, ended up losing, I think, 1 or 2 spots as Fambro and Ware have worked their way on by. As everyone's trying to work up, especially the guys that did not have a good qualifying effort. Ryan Swan, Kyle Sieg duking it out back for 15th place.
Yep, and Sieg will get that, or will he? Will Swan try to do a crossover, and he will. He's going to fight him there into the chicane, and that's going to make a tough spot for Sieg. He's going to have to rescend and give that spot back up, and look at now, he was going for the spot. Now he's 5 car lengths back, or truck lengths rather.
I know, it's always tough to get.
He got super loose there. We just cut away, but he did manage to carry on. But back to the front where we have Hallman and Roderick. Still within that 2-3 truck length gap here. This is that elevation change we talked about, Finian. Right here, that right-hander, you're at the top of the hill, and then you start to slowly descend here down to this left-hander, and you go swing right out to the wall, and then you have to cut as close as you can to this inside wall here and set yourself up for the banking. And that run is what's going to set up the passing zone for the backstretch chicane.
Yeah, right now on board Roger as he approaches that passing opportunity again with it being reprofiled, became a very heavy braking zone. Easy to try to throw it up the inside or the outside and make that pass work. You can see a bit of a lockup, or I actually wasn't even sure that was a lockup. It was really weird having him mid-corner. I think just struggling to get the truck slowing down in time. Hallman, a little bit of a mistake, but Roderick slowly trying to reel him in from behind.
And every time you do that, Finian, every single time that some smoke comes off those tires, you're making those Goodyear Eagles mad. And when they get mad, they never get happier. So the more you do that, that's just grip coming off. That's never going to come back. So you really want to come and, keep that to a minimum. Looks like Hallman has done that. But up front, Beckner has managed to pull away from Hartz up by about 1.25 seconds now. So whether that's just pure pace or whether that's Hartz being patient, knowing that the race does not really begin until after the comp caution, I guess time will tell.
Yeah, and again, it's still really keep an eye on the tire where really, as you were talking about it. Beckner keeping a very consistent pace, only 3/10 off. We'll see how that falls later on. Last time we saw the leaders not pit, that's definitely not going to be a choice. I think you would definitely blow a tire if you attempted to carry the set one set an entire 33 laps. But Beckner doing a really solid job, solid consistency up near the front, and solid pace. 1.3 seconds of the gap between the two.
Talked about Brad Slaughter a lot in our opening, and he is closing in on Wineland, who is still within pretty close proximity of Roderick, who's also in pretty close proximity to Hallman. So it's 4 guys essentially under a second and a half of each other. So we'll see if Slaughter is able to. He's already up 1 spot on the day. 8th to 7th here is someone missing the chicane there. That's Ryan Swan.
Yeah, Ryan Swan. Whoa, hello. Yeah, you see the lock up there, the brakes locking up, and the truck pitching to the left. Great driving from Swan to make sure he didn't take out a fellow competitor. I think he was with side with Urban.
That was a high IQ move, Finney, because he realized what was happening, and he said, nope, not going to try to make the turn, not going to wreck anybody else, just going to go straight, deal with the slowdown, and keep going. That was a very high IQ move.
And actually, speaking of blowing that chicane, I'm going to go back to Brad Slaughter specifically, because last night we saw him, he actually ended up missing that chicane, and that was a big mistake. I mean, it's definitely better to miss the chicane rather than to try and make it and wreck your car. But it's a huge penalty for Brad Slaughter. He almost missed. Remember, we were talking about he was also close in the points battle for that series. He ended up almost missing it out because he fell from, I think, around 6th back to 11th, having to give up the time loss due to the slowdown. But it drove his way back up and was able to overcome it. But you have to be very careful. Speaking of Slaughter driving through side by side with the 21. We'll see if he's going to try to fight for it or if Wyland's going to back off. He is in his Ford F-150.
Yeah, he set that up, did Slaughter. He set that up at the exit of the infield through that downhill left-hand double apex section and got himself the run heading back onto the oval. That's probably one of the best ways to get around this Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Is currently on the rear deck lid of Hallman, who's still hanging on to Roderick. Roderick has been closing in for a while.
Wyland. Oh, I thought Wyland almost went flying into the back of Bavada. It looked like he was about to dive it in really hard there, but backed off.
Yeah, but so far so good. But again, it's just surprising to me, Finian, that Hallman is able to hold on because Roderick and company have been close to him for laps on laps on laps, but he's still holding on to that 2-3 truck length lead. And has some right side damage as Hallman. Someone door slammed him. We didn't catch that.
Yeah, either someone door slammed him or he was flirting with the wall. I mean, because between the Roval exit and the front stretch chicane exit, the racing line goes right up against the wall, and if you're a little bit too, how do you say this?
Over anxious?
Yeah, that is the best way to say it. Over anxious on the corner exit. You see these guys come up right up against the wall, and if you're a little bit overestimated, you may tag it a little bit here and there.
And I'll tell you, Roderick, he closed in through the infield section there, but Hallman, what he's doing is he's good at the right spots on the track. And if you're good at the right spots, people can't pass you. If you're bad at the slow spots that are single file, you can't do anything. There's a bunch of guys getting squirrely there. But exiting, I think finally this might be Roderick's chance, but nope, he's going to get the door shut on him.
Yeah, actually backing off, surprisingly. So, and let's see. He's been going really slow. I wonder if he got a penalty or something.
Slaughter just went to the outside there. We just missed that. He went straight to the outside through oval 3 and 4 and just
here he comes
that way. And Roderick's just in send it mode, as the kids would say these days. And look at him get loose there on the entry of 1. He is going full bore right now. Gets himself into the top 4. Now about 3 seconds up to the next spot.
Yeah, Brad Slaughter getting it done. I was just curious because it was looking like the 56 was slow for some reason, like he missed a gear or something was off. But he's actually still losing positions here. He's lost 1, 2, well, that'll be 3 here as the 31. James Shainwolf, haven't really mentioned him so far. He's caught up to the back of the 56.
Yes, he has, and we're closing in on lap number 7, Vinny, so the pits will be closing at the end of lap 8 and prep for our comp caution. And we're on board with James Shainwolf, and we were talking about tire wear was our name of our game, Vinny. I just want to point out, this looks like the average that I'm seeing is we're already at about a second fall off for the vast majority of these guys, in some cases more. So definitely tire is going to be the name of the game, and I would expect everyone to take that pit stop and take 4 tires on the caution, but be surprising if somebody doesn't for the track position.
Yeah, I think that's really going to be the biggest thing, right? You know, track position versus tire wear. Some of you guys, again, it really depends on your skill set. If you're good at road course racing, you'll probably have a better time in managing your stuff. And as I say that, hello, mass exit of trucks down to pit lane. Everyone from 4th on back in that little group we were looking at. Top 3 still continuing onwards. And the leaders actually still do have one more attempt because these guys are coming in on the end of lap 7. So we'll see the leaders decide to come in the second time around. These guys pulling a bit of an undercut.
Yeah, and that will work out if you were close, which a lot of these guys were close, within 3/4 of a second, half second of the guy in front. That, 1 second of buffer, maybe that works out if indeed everybody does choose to pit. Of course, we don't really have stage points or anything on the line. It's just merely a comp caution. So not the strategy is merely just what do you think is going to work out best. Is some of these guys are exiting and merging back onto the racetrack right now after their pit stops. And on lap number 8, you can see the conga line entering the speedway there.
Yeah, conga line indeed, especially because some guys are going to be anxious with fresh tires. Take advantage of that, trying to move up a spot or two, especially since you're all so close together. But again, you just got new tires, don't wear them out too quickly. Because as you mentioned, we already saw that 1 second of tire fall off, and you don't want to burn up your stuff.
Yeah, not at all, but because you're going to have to keep those tires on. You're going to have a heat cycle on them. They're going to have to go. As 28 of Beckner, our leader, he's going to come down pit road, as you said, right at basically right at the closing portion of pit road. So some of these guys might actually be cut out of pit road. Now we're on lap number 9.
Justin Anasagak and also Danny Ware, I think. Was it Danny Ware? Yes, it is Danny Ware in the 18. Both of them staying out. So yeah, interesting call there, and this is going to be, I think, Anasagak, I think this is him just trying to potentially get himself in a more favorable spot track position-wise, because he knows he's going to need every single point he can get.
Yeah, so maybe some of these guys Finian, who weren't really pushing, maybe this was the plan the whole time, was to keep a little bit more life on those Goodyears, knowing that maybe they wouldn't pit on the caution. I mean, maybe we're just creating drama out of nowhere. That's part of our job, but could very well be the case.
I see pass for position there. Brad Slaughter Jr. getting past Garrett Grant, fighting currently for 7th place.
Grant had that P3 start and doing a great job in that number 5 ride with a patriotic scheme. Chris's sports cards on him is 21 of Eric Weiland. Talked about him having a great run. Number 12 of James Litzenberger here on replay.
Yeah, this is nothing really too dramatic, but he had a slowdown, I think, in one of the earlier turns. You can see him lose. This is how devastating the time penalty can be. 1, 2, 3, 4 spots lost because of a time penalty. So that's just showing you right there how catastrophic they could be for a race. He went back from 9th all the way back to 13th.
Yeah, and a lot of times on a road course, maybe a 2-3 second penalty maybe will only cost you about a second, but where everybody is just absolutely on top of each other, especially after this pit stop, definitely a very, very costly mistake for him. As in Hallman and Roderick, they can't get away from each other this evening. Roderick did all that work to get by, and look at, now he's right behind him again.
And deep into the braking zone. Ooh, some deeper than others. Shane Wolf throwing it in there. Almost getting into the side of the 56. Couldn't quite establish a truck alongside, so he's going to have to stay in behind for 11th. But it's starting to get racy here. Final lap before the caution comes out. Taking a look at where Justin Asagak is currently running at the moment. Just ahead of Danny Ware. About to exit onto the oval section.
Yep, coming through the banking here. Turns oval 1 and 2.
And look who's here. Travis Beckner, coming into the pits, has caught back up.
Yeah, it was basically he lost 40 seconds. That was the pit lane delta time. So he gained 40 seconds back, and naturally he was up by a lot over these guys. So
it's not quite 40 seconds, but he still caught up. He actually might get 1, maybe 2 spots because he's got better tires. He got a huge amount of traction coming out of the chicane. He might be able to get 1. 2 is going to be a bit of an ask. How much is he willing to risk in making the move into the braking zone here? Coming to the caution. Going to work around the 18 truck. Sorry. Oh, the 18 is going to almost spin it. And he manages to keep it through.
And we're waiting on the admin call there. The risk versus reward on that was rather high, as that will the caution will deploy now. entering turn number 1. The risk versus reward on that was rather high. We saw them going side by side through that chicane. Not typically what you want to do. Luckily, everybody was able to get through it.
Yeah, and Beckner there, you saw he honestly had a really solid chance of getting the lead back, and that would have been an absolute power move had he been able to do it. But second place, nothing to scoff at. Really good drive for him.
But yeah, definitely. So with the lead that he had over those guys at the very end, obviously with that huge pit lane delta time that he had to go through in the natural pace, he was able to pull that off. We didn't think it was completely unfathomable. We didn't even consider that as a strategy, but that may cause a strategy shakeup for everybody else, knowing that oh hey, tires are that big of a deal here.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. You know, again, this is going to be the big calls once you get everyone lined back up in order. Going to have, I would imagine, a good majority of the field. Well, I should say a good majority. We'll see a decent amount of guys come in. Pretty much all the guys that stayed out. So Justin Anasagak, Danny Ware, Colin Fambro, Paul Swerven-Irvin, James Litzenberger, Adam Capps, Charles Caneda, Bobby Tinch, Logan Hartman, all the drivers who stayed out. Everyone else came in just before the competition yellow.
Yep, and we do only have one guy who has retired from the race thus far. That was Sean Mitchell. Matt Cochran is 6 laps down. Other than that, everybody else still on the lead lap right now as we are catching up to the iRacing pace truck and hoping this caution goes smoothly, Finney. And I do know sometimes these Rovals and cautions are a little bit wonky, to say the least, but hopefully this goes smoothly. Of course, admin do have a little bit more tools in their disposal with fixing cautions, but hopefully all goes well. And we'll see what happens here as Beckner will... I don't know if he's just playing games right now.
Probably playing mind games. You see everyone still trying to catch back up to the leader. But again, you're tuning in just now. It's the Charlotte Roval 75 for the Area CNC Logging Truck Series. Second round of their five race playoffs that we're covering here on SimTV. Just picking them up as it started. There's been some fantastic racing so far in both races of the playoffs and even in this race so far. And we're going to get everyone racked and stacked after a competition caution. And most of the field's pretty much going to have fresh tires to work with. And we could see some more on-track action. The passing's been really good. Everyone's been giving each other respect. I am not exactly sure how much longer it's going to last as the night goes on, especially on the second restart. But we'll see if it does continue.
Yeah, the patience is usually like that sand time clock thing, and the sand starts to run out. But as our first caution, we do want to thank another one of our sponsors, Elite Entertainment LLC, for their support of the Elite Entertainment Cup Series and all of us here at Area. Please sure to check out Elite Entertainment LLC on Facebook and book them to DJ your next event.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh, yeah, actually, there we go. We got some product placement here on the track. So I could have sworn that someone had Elite Entertainment on the side of their truck. There you can see just ahead of the scuff marks, or behind the scuff marks. So you can see perfectly nice on the left side. And so that 2 of their trucks, actually, I just realized Beckner also got Elite Entertainment, so they're doing pretty good.
It's almost like that was staged.
Got to play the bill somehow, right?
Exactly. Pits will be formally open here for the first time, so given what we've seen, I don't think strategy is going to come into play. Fuel would only last roughly about 5 more laps, and there will be one more pit stop required, given what we've been told on our fuel loads. If you pit now 15 to 17 laps, you'd still be about 3 laps short, as here comes everyone who stayed out, coming to the attention of their crews.
Yep, and as mentioned, nothing really interesting in that department. Yeah, pretty much everyone needed to come in is coming in, and the guys you expected to stay out are staying out. Slight changes in the order. Brad Slaughter, though, up to 3rd.
Fiddy, I got a stupid question. I got a stupid point to make here. You know what's always bothered me about this place?
What's that?
The actual racetrack is narrower than the pit out lane. Have you ever noticed that here?
Hang on, wait. Oh, I don't have a camera in that turn, unfortunately, damn it. I was hoping I would have a camera pointing that out, but yeah.
Maybe you could do a blimp cam of a guy in the pits, but if you'll notice that the actual pit out lane here is way wider than the actual racetrack itself.
Yeah, so I paused it there. Let me take the graphic off so you can see. But yeah, you can see right there. There's not a whole lot. I'll actually move it up a little bit further. You see right there.
Who's the architect on that? Like, things that you never notice, but as a broadcaster, you notice the smallest things about all these tracks. So I just had to point that out.
Yeah, and well, we were also just talking about it just before. There's still a speed channel sign in the infield, and then there's a Top Gear, American Top Gear on Net Geo.
Hey, that is a... I actually did a podcast on that back on my channel back in the day. Maybe it's time to do a refreshed version of it, but anywho.
You can see the speed sign off to the right. Yeah, that's a speed sign right there.
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Speed Channel still exists in some capacity in, like, Australia.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I could have sworn that became...
yeah, definitely it's all gone.
FS1.
It's into FS1. And
there you see the Top Gear 300 on the History Channel.
And that was from, so obviously iRacing, for a little iRacing backdating. They built this track originally in 2007, and then they redid it and put the new big screen in and took down some grandstands in about 2011. But when they did the refresh in 2018, they left all the billboards the same. So all the billboards that are in turn 3 and 4, those are the same ones that have been up since 2007.
Have they really? I could have sworn that they updated. Oh yeah, no, I guess. Oh
the
no,
NASCAR
you're right.
billboard.
Yeah,
look at the
you're right.
Look at the NASCAR Cup billboard at the very end. They still left it green from when it used to say Monster. They didn't even change the background on it.
Yeah, I was looking at these. I'm like, yeah, they do look kind of old. Now that I think about it.
Not to say, I mean, we love our iRacing. Without iRacing, we don't have a broadcast.
Yeah,
but, we
don't
pay
have a
lot
job.
of money, so we're allowed to be picky. So.
Yeah, they're talking about what they're going to do for Indianapolis coming up. Hopefully, that track is good.
If you're interested in a podcast on commentators roasting graphics, please let me know, because we could put that on at any time. It'll be interesting to see here if the lights do go out on the pace truck. I would imagine they would, but we've seen stranger things on Rovals with caution, so we'll
yeah, I
see
think
what
they
the
fixed
survey
it.
says.
They have fixed it, and it was not as buggy.
Lights
Last night
out.
it worked well. Yep, there we go. Everything going to plan. Everyone's going to double file back up.
So just looking at the back end data here, Finian, it looks like our top 13 guys are going to be on those older tires from pitting before the comp caution, and then starting with an Asagak.
Yep.
Close enough? Oh,
Yeah,
I got it.
good.
Okay, yeah. Starting with him in 13th, everybody beyond that will be on the fresh tires. So technically, yes, it's 6 or 7 laps. I mean, only 2 or 3 of actual green flag. How much that actually matters, I guess we'll find out together.
Yeah, I think definitely only that also matters how much he beat them up on those few laps. I mean, we saw Beckner, he was hauling, trying to catch back up and potentially take the lead back, but wasn't quite able to get there. And I noticed that Hartz wasn't quite as fast, laid a little bit further back, maybe because he was watching his tires. I'll also take a chance to update you on where the playoff drivers, the guys that are out. So Jacob Bell currently 12th in the points, 12th in the playoff standings. He's going to pretty much need a win or a really solid finish to gain position up. Looking at Collier, I actually don't know where he is.
Yeah, I don't see him.
I don't even think he's in the race. Yeah. So Collier not even here, so he's going to definitely fall out. Garrett Grant, we saw was doing fairly well.
Yep.
Up in 4th. Yeah, so he's doing pretty good. And then Travis Beckner obviously doing fairly well for himself, leading. I would say, honestly, Beckner has the best shot at getting those spots, but then also you got to talk about guys on the border. Looking at Hallman, Tyler Hallman currently sitting in 6th. He's just 2 points above the cutoff, and Asagak currently sitting in 13th. Doing the worst out of them, and even Paul Irvin, I would sorry to cut you off there. Even Paul Irvin also a little bit on the he's 6 points out, 6 points to the good, but back in 16th. So
yeah, the thing with an Asagak though is he's kind of using that alternate strategy. So whether that works out, we'll see. And we'll also have a strategy coming to the end. Finney, do you do a splash and go? Do you take 2? Do you pit early? Do you pit late? There's going to be a lot of dynamics to that final pit stop. So definitely going to want to stay tuned here. But we're getting racked and stacked double file and. We saw how interesting that first start was, where they went right at the green flag, and it really kept them all bunched up entering 1. I'm not too sure on the restart rules, Vinny. Maybe you can let me know, but we'll see if indeed that happens again.
Yeah, well, we'll see what is going to happen. I think they are going to have to wait for the start here. Pretty sure it's restart zone. I'm not going to bet on that, but well, I'm going to assume that there's a restart or something. So these guys have a later start in the second restart last night. See them working their way on through. Beckner doing pretty much the same thing he did on the initial start, off and away. We're back green here at the Roval, and same thing as before. Hart's trying to get to the outside of the 28 by turn 1. He was there, but couldn't quite get the pass done. Brad Slaughter, though, trying to make an opportunity.
Yeah, side by side through the tight and narrow turn 3, I believe it to be. He's going to go on the outside here through the double right apex, and that's not going to set him up. But he's going to go for the crossover down the little straightaway here, and seeing if he can stay side by side. Not able to do so, but there's a gaggle of trucks behind him going at it.
Yeah, everyone again fighting for position here. 81, you see him struggling that change in direction here, fighting the understeer of the tires, a little bit cold after pacing around. Now getting them back up to speed. Ooh, and some guys knocking the wall there, entering back on as they're just about to enter back on the oval. So a little bit of chaos, but fairly tame. No big incidents from what I can tell. 56 of AJ Roger going to be side by side with 11. Jordan Martin duking it out as they head towards the backstretch chicane.
Yeah, they were actually side by side basically through the entire infield section and somehow evaded each other and the wall. So A+ effort on both of their halves there. But Roderick, he's going to be fighting hard, and he needs those points well, actually, he's not quite in the mix, so take that back. But he's still doing the best he can. Hallman's the one that needs those points. He doesn't want to lose those spots, and he was doing such a good job to hang on. I think that's probably why he is trying as hard as he can, because he only has those 2 points to the good right now.
Yeah, there's Hallman running right now in 7th place. I was just looking at Anasagak because he was a little bit squirrely into the backstretch chicane. Looks like he's kept it all good and away, but Beckner up in front, 1.2 second gap. He is checking out away from the 3.
Yeah, so we saw like in the opening qualifying segment that Hart's ran a really, really close time in proximity to Beckner, but it just seems the race pace is just clearly Slaughter is going to do some agricultural work there.
And wow, it's going to cost him actually not that many spots. I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
6th right now, back in the vicinity of that's of Hallman as we have the replay on screen.
No, just threw it in too hard.
Yeah, just too much speed, couldn't get it bit, and just did a little drift there, and a little bit of smack to the tire wall, kept him straight, and merge, and only back to 6th, but he fought so hard to get into those podium spots as Roderick going underneath Hallman here into the bus stop.
Ooh, 42 going up and over the curves, got to be careful, he's going to park the bus, and bunch of drivers up, and narrowly makes it through, no incident.
Park the bus. I was going to do a turtle joke, but you beat me to it. So
sorry, maybe not an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think I've got a single pun so far yet. I got to work on that. But are we on board with that? I think we're on board with the replay there of the 42 going over those turtles there, the double turtles there, to add to it through the backstretch chicane, and see the damage that he's acquired from that. Someone locked the brakes up just ahead of him. Couldn't quite see who that was, but saw some smoke flying here. All seems to be well.
So a little bit of chaos. No huge incident as of now, although everyone's still very close together. And as you mentioned, once these guys get those fresh tires on, they're gonna start being a little bit more antsy, a little bit more bold. Oh, I saw another guy going flying off. Martin into the wall.
Yeah, that's the 11. We were just talking about him having that good battle here. Got the replay queued up on screen. Just lost it. Same exact thing. Is there oil on the track there or something? I
don't know what. I think, guys, you're talking about guys getting a little bit more bold. I think that's part of it. You get the fresh tires back. You feel like Superman until you go flying to the wall, and then you feel like you need to go to the hospital. Yep. But Martin going to drop back to 15th.
Yeah, that's not what you want at all. But of our fresh tire brigade, I think the highest driver is actually Anasagak. He's only up to 8th. So far, those older tires from pre-caution are hanging on quite well.
Change for position. Danny Ware going up 1 spot on Ryan Swan. Swan still trying to get close for a counterattack potentially. As he head to the front stretch of Kane, a little bit of a puff of smoke from a lockup.
A lot of wiggle there on throttle there on the tires where I think that was Sieg. And turn 1 here, tons of curb there from Swan. Too much curb, and too much curb equals wall there. And tight. That's the tight call. I don't want to go side by side through that section, as we were joking about earlier how narrow it is through the double apex here and onto the mid-stretch, as if you want to call it.
Yeah,
that.
that's what I usually call it. Middle straightaway. Gets back going again.
Blanket out.
It's
That
Kyle
was actually
Sieg.
Sieg.
Sieg up ahead.
Connectivity issues never good if you're a Swan, because you don't know where they're going to be and how hard you can brake, but things seem to be clearing up now. And Slaughter did, just as a note, Slaughter did get around Grant, so now he is back into the top 5 now, so trying to recover from that little off-track excursion.
Yeah, and again, I really feel like he could probably do as good as third. And I mean, lucky for him, those two guys are the next drivers up the road, only about a second and a half ahead of him. James Shainwolf and Eric Wineland inheriting 4th and 3rd place, respectively.
Yeah, Beckner is just absolute lights out. For example, last time by, Beckner at a 22.26, Hartz at a 22.8. So when the leader has 6/10 on the field, I mean, pretty much write that off as any opportunity. But even Hartz at 22.8, nobody else outside of them two is even in that bracket. So really the top two are just in a league of their own. The real race, I guess, is third on back.
Yeah, I was going to say, also looking at some really good battles in the midfield here. Everyone close together. A few guys tucked in behind Kyle Sieg, Ryan Swan, Tyler Holman, Colin Fambro, and then you can throw in Paul Irvin into the mix. As they're kind of struggling. These guys are kind of struggling. We're talking about, you get on the brakes, you lock up the tires, you get the Goodyears angry. Some of these guys have already started to get the Goodyears angry, and they still got 15 laps to go. See a lot of sliding under braking, a lot of movement on the gas as well, especially with the one of Swan. He cannot be a happy driver. Those tires are definitely overheating.
And all 3 of those drivers on screen right now, Finian, all 3 have a pancake right side of their car, or truck rather. So they've all been going at it. They've all been either hitting the wall or usually if the right side of your car is damaged or your truck, that usually means you've been the aggressor. Usually if the left side, you've been the aggressee. So I guess take that for what it is on a road course, but trying to go side by side there into the back stretch.
And Fambro doing the hard work, going to go around the outside, pinching the one to the apex. Did a great job there. And it's going to be 2 positions lost, 3 positions lost. Oh,
did he get a slowdown there, or did he just really get a bad run?
I think he got his run compromised, and I think was a little bit bamboozled by what happened with Fambro because he was parked up on the curb. I think it just annihilated his exit, and Irvin took advantage.
Yeah, so that'll move Swan all the way back to 14th now.
Might have actually had a slowdown being parked up on the curves. You could be right with that too.
Yeah, you know how finicky it can be. You don't really hear about it too much here on the road.
Cutting back up to Brad Slaughter, chasing down James Shainwolf and Eric Wineland. Battle for 3rd amongst these 3 drivers, starting to heat up.
Yeah, definitely is the case here. As you can see coming through the downhill and exiting the infield section. Very difficult point of the track. Turn to the left, and you can look at Slaughter there. I thought he got a good run, and then the tires said otherwise there.
Yeah, again, this is the problem, because he's definitely pushing, obviously, because he's trying to make up for that mistake earlier. And pushing the tires to their limit, you got to be careful, though. The harder you push, more likely you're going to make another mistake. And again, he's not in a desperate situation. He can afford to make a mistake. He's sitting pretty healthy in the points, up 30-30 from the cutoff. But no one, considering he's having a really solid run, don't want to give up a good night.
Yeah, we saw from that onboard footage just a little bit ago the right side damage he's acquired from potentially it was that off-track incident, or it could have been something else. And that curb is not going to help. You can see he's wheeling and dealing off at the exit of every single corner. Trying to make what he can happen as he's closing in on Shainwolf there and trying to get himself back. As you said, probably to the podium. 3rd is going to be probably the highest he's going to get tonight.
Also, I think what you're talking about of curb equals wall. I think Kyle would disagree with your math. Too much curb equals wall. Yeah, I think he would disagree with that. He'll agree you can never take too much curb.
Well, the thing with Kyle is curbs are, especially on iRacing, are a very heated topic with him, so I avoid that topic entirely.
He was actually doing, before we cut to that, go look at Slaughter wheeling up the inside, still a little bit loose. He's really struggling for traction, getting back onto the Roval.
Yep, just that's what we talk about. That you see that car in front of you, that truck in front of you, and you want to put that little 1% extra back down on the throttle just to try to get that run, but that extra 1% is going to get you to absolutely go dead sideways like that. And as we said, once you get the rear tires mad, they stay mad for the rest of the race. And we still have 13 laps. But as we talked about earlier, we need one more pit stop. Is it going to be a splash and go? Or are you going to put those Dr. Feelgoods? Are you going to put a new set on?
I think it's really going to come. I think it's really going to come down to the driver, right? I think if you're not that good at the road courses and you've been burning up your stuff, you're going to kind of want to come down for more Mr. Feelgoods. I think if you're a little bit better at managing your stuff, you can afford to just get that splash and dash and gain quite a few seconds by doing so, not having to wait to take tires. But again, it comes down to how good are you managing your equipment, or are you abusing them?
And how many spots do you see that are open in front of you? Because maybe you can take advantage of one. So, so far, big wiggle from the 21 of Weiland there. Again, he's in third right now, kind of leading the normal people here tonight, if you want to call it that, because the leaders are just absolutely out there at this point. Highest of our non-playoff drivers.
Yeah, taking a look quickly at another battle brewing again. Sieg, Hallman, Fambro, all in behind each other, all following each other fairly close nose to tail. One of the other battles brewing.
Yes, indeed, is
Sieg
still having that connectivity issue there.
Yeah, I don't remember having any issues at Homestead, so I don't know. It's not cooperating tonight for him. And we cut back up, see Brett Slaughter gaining quite a bit of time as he's struggling to slow down into the chicane.
Yes, indeed.
Still hasn't quite got that opportunity. He had such a good opportunity before, but again, I think was maybe a little bit too overambitious and couldn't quite get the run. He's going to have to work again. He's still got 11 laps to go to try to make something happen to gain these next two spots.
Yep, you can see that right front damage we were talking about a little bit earlier. He is mutilating those curves. He probably had 3 or 4 feet of airtime there, and I mean, if you already have the damage, you may as well just add a little bit more to it if it's going to give you a tenth or so. I guess that's the risk versus reward for him there. But these guys are coming through, and underneath the Bank of America Bridge, huge wiggles there from Shane Wolf, and he's sliding it wide. Don't wreck it again.
He was drifting through there, and you got to ride on board for that because he was look at his wheel inputs. Look at that.
Yeah, this is not a Assetto Corsa drift mode, but you could really fool me there.
I'm going to keep on board with him because this is going to be entertaining fun here as he's trying to get to the inside of Shane Wolf. Oh, back and slide around.
This is like iRacing tire model from like 2009 where he literally turned at 3 o'clock to go left. That's what he's like right now.
Wanna, if you know how they live in Tokyo. Brett Slaughter's wondering how they live in Tokyo as he's sliding through literally every single corner.
But he hasn't wrecked, and B, he's still in proximity to pass these guys. I mean, what else could you ask for, really?
No, I mean, the way he's going, he looks like he's going to wreck. I mean, he's driving like this. He's still got 11 laps to go. And as we talked about earlier, the tires really not going to get a whole lot better. They may get a little bit less squirrely if you back off and cool them down, but he's definitely not cooling them down.
No, he's not. So, I mean,
man.
We talked about, are you going to do the splash and go? Or are you going to take the tires? I'm going to bet a pretty penny that 81 is going to take a set of freshies here. Is going back to that battle with Sieg and Fambro and Swan.
Yeah, Hallman actually, and I was going back just because Fambro just went past Hallman. All you saw through NASCAR's turn 3 and 4. I have no clue what they are on the road courses. I really don't bother with corner numbers.
Well, they actually did paint the, where it says Charlotte on the oval walls. They did actually number them to be, so it'll actually say, I think, Charlotte 14. But trying to go side by side there through the infield.
Back to the Formula Drift session on board with Brad Slaughter Jr.
Wheeling. Get the throttle down right here on exit. That's where he gives you the run. Nope, you can't do it. Can't do it. He's going to try to drive down the hill, but fortunately for him, Shane Wolf got a little bit better run, but he's going to eat it down to the chicane here.
Yeah, I'm honestly going to keep it on him for a while because this is honestly fairly entertaining. Not a whole lot of on-track action, but
oh, he got loose there off the first curb there, and look how much time he lost because of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with him swirling around like this, it's really costing him more time than he's making up, right? Because you get that focus as a driver, you just want to. If you push a little harder, you'll go a little bit faster, and that'll happen for a little bit until you start overheating the tires and you're sliding all over the place like you're driving on glass. And I think we're starting to see that with the 81. So he might have to just reel it in for a lap or two and get the tires to cool back down because you can see look at the counter steer. Wow. Yeah, he's going to wreck it at some point if he's back
there's that point, and it's still what you just said, Fitty. He's still going at it. My gosh. Did rain get enabled or something?
He's got the preview build for the rain.
Yeah. And it's only for that one vehicle, but it gets to a point where you stop running your race, you stop running your laps, hitting your points, and you start worrying about the guy in front of you, and then you start driving based off of him, and I think that's what the 81's doing, and I mean, give him credit. He has those tires as mad as, my wife's in the same room, I can't make a joke. He has those tires pretty dang mad, and he's still making them work.
Hey, he is really doing an excellent job. Like we're talking about, you want to get the tires slick like this and sliding all over the place. And actually, speaking of slick, take a look at our race conditions. I haven't checked on them since the start. Actually dropped down significantly, 104.
Well, for Slaughter, I think he wants that to go down about 30 more degrees.
His tires are definitely extremely much harder than 104. And I'm actually kind of surprised. I guess that makes sense because we had, and you can see it now too, had a decent amount of overcast over the entire tire. Most of the track you can see mostly on the 1-2 side. NASCAR turns 1 and 2. Still just an inkling of sunlight on 3 and 4. But he hit the wall in the straightaway, man. He's really struggling for grip.
The one thing I want to point out, Finian, is something that I like to do on my channel too, is races like this are races that we almost forget to appreciate how good that the leader is. Like Beckner, he's out here, and the reason we're not talking about him is because he's running a perfect race. He's running flyer lap times. He's doing everything right. His truck is basically 100% clean, and he's just absolutely mopping the floor on these guys. And we got to appreciate, especially what he has going on with the playoff picture. What he is doing today is absolutely spectacular. It's just, for the sake of a broadcast, it's kind of boring, so we haven't talked about it.
But you can definitely see there, though, the guys are fighting to fall off. Look at that, 3 seconds slower than his fastest lap. Tires are definitely not happy for Beckner, but he's continuing on at a decent pace. One of the fastest guys in the field. A lot of the rest of the field in the 125s, 126s, and even the 127s in the back half.
Yeah, last time actually Hartz was faster by about 4/10, but he's 3.5 seconds back. So we'll see what the time updates to. 23.7 for Beckner, and Hartz at a 24.8. So
he's struggling.
Evened out pretty quickly.
I think he actually lost a lot more time. He was only about 2.5 seconds back before that final chicane. So I think lost some time through there.
But I did have a little bit of crash on my overlays there, Finian, so I don't know what our stint times are right now, our stints, but perhaps 13, we can check that out.
Yeah, actually check it out right now. Pull it up on the screen. So majority of the field, I should say majority of the field, the entire top 6 pretty much pitted 18, 19 laps ago.
Well, we had that caution, so that will add about a lap or two. So based on the data we were provided, pit stop should be any time now based on what we were provided. Yeah,
we'll take a look at that. Unless these guys, I doubt they've been saving. I don't really see a place you can save here. The guy, Justin Asagak, the first of the guys who came in under that competition caution, working his way up the order. I think he restarted around, what, 10th or 11th?
12th, I believe.
12th,
13th.
So, okay. So he's made up quite a few spots, up into 7th, potentially 6th now if he can get past Garrett Grant. And again, both these guys fighting for those final playoff spots. Let's pull them up here on our info here. And Asagak is 2 to the good in 7th. Grant 12 behind in 10th. Grant's going to need a little bit more to help him out. But again, with Irvin not having the best of races, and even Fambro a little bit mired down, could potentially see a shift. It's going to probably also be like last time. I have to wait till after the checkered flag to see the points get divvied up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to see how that does shake out, but we'll definitely take a look and wait to see when that pit stop is. Our 81 Machinist Slaughter. We'll see if he is still Captain Slidey over here. And look, yep, not as bad. He missed the apex there a little bit, but he managed to keep it sort of running straight, so good job on that regard.
Yeah, and also, really quick, before we have anything crazy happen, we want to thank our sponsor, Swift Lifestyle. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that help improve your focus in gaming. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 15% off your entire order. We'd like to thank Swift Lifestyles for the support of the Area Racing League. Again, that is AREA iRacing for 15% off. That's Swift Lifestyles, the sponsor supporting this league. And I think Brad Slaughter's, I mean, he's probably already taking swift last cells. The amount of focus he's probably got to have driving this truck around here, wheeling it out of every single corner, doing a fantastic job at getting it done. Again, he's still actually maintained. He's caught back up to Shane Wolf. I think he was around 1.5 seconds back at one point, and ended up catching back up.
Yeah, indeed. I did see, Finian, that Kyle Sieg did pit, but then all of a sudden he is disappeared. We know he was having his issues.
Oh,
but
yeah, I think it finally went. Yeah, you're right.
So that was catastrophic for him. I thought that was going to be the start of the pit cycle here. Still waiting for anybody else. I mean, for all we know, the data's wrong and they can make it all the way. But based on what we were told, we're still waiting on these last second pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see if that is indeed the case. But up front, I'll tell you, 5 seconds, Finian, up front, and I think I saw that it was about a 40-second pit delta here to take 4 tires cone to cone. So if that's the case, basically Beckner can pit and go back and still be in the top 10 if nobody else does anything. He's that far ahead right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? And then that's not even including the fact he's going to have lightning fresh tires. Problem is, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to do much with them, right? You're only going to have 4 or 5 laps to go. So that's the big issue. I mean, do you want to... I mean, again, we do think that they may have to come in for a splash and dash. Are you going to want to spend those entire 15 seconds, or maybe just spend 3-4 seconds just to get enough gas in and you save yourself another 10? You know, that can be back from 10 seconds that would put him up into actually 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, because he wouldn't take 2 tires here. And
no.
Naturally, it wouldn't make any sense at all. Maybe rear tires, but that's not something
Can't do that
is enabled on these things.
Yeah.
But I'm really starting to believe, Finney, that we're not going to have these pit stops. Because I feel like you would have made it already to take advantage of those tires. But I guess maybe we'll find out. That's what the data said, but all we can go is off what the data says. But
yeah, exactly. Always got to see what the drivers are doing as well, and so far they're looking pretty good. Again, we could just see a very late pit stop, just pit and then get back out on the track and then try to minimize the losses, but it's going to bit up in the air, the question of pit road. Still looking at Nasagak trying to work past Garrett Grant in the 5 machine. Hasn't been able to get past him for 6th.
Trying to get him into 6th, and he'd have a ways to go up to get to 5th here. So I know top 5 is usually the biggest stat that I like to follow, and I don't know if he'll get that unless Slaughter does something catastrophic to ruin himself, which can happen at any time based on what we've seen thus far. But currently Grant holding on to that spot for the time being, coming through the latter half of the infield here. I don't quite know these numbers off the top of my head, but we'll see if Nasagak can get any kind of run coming onto the oval.
Oh, he's pretty good. He's one of the closest points you've seen him in behind Grant, but it seems that Grant has got a significantly better run off the corner, and I think he's actually got about 2-3 tenths a second alone just off from a better exit.
And while we do have a quick moment, we did have one more sponsor to thank. We want to thank CNC Logging for their support of the CNC Logging Truck Series this season in area. Located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, CNC Logging is your place to go for any of your logging needs. Got wood, big or small, summer or fall, we'll cut your log guaranteed.
Yeah, big thanks to them for being the title sponsor for this series and putting on fantastic racing, supporting the Area Racing League. As you see the 31 get a little squirrely on the gas. Slaughter smells blood. He's going to punt him. Going over the curbs, he manages to keep it going in the right direction, but that could have been disastrous.
How did he save that truck?
I have no clue. Oh, we got to look at Shane Wolf. I was gonna cut the replay of that, but I don't think I'm going to, because I think something could happen here. I think the 31, they're both really, I think, are struggling for tire wear. But Slaughter, fantastic drive. I think if we had a driver the day vote, I think it's got to go to this 81, wheeling it around here.
Yeah, he is definitely the good hands driver of the race. I think that was actually a prize at some point or another, but definitely it goes to him.
Oh, man. He's literally drifting through some of these corners. I mean, we're not on the rallycross layout. Someone might want to tell him, because...
Yeah, I would love to see his tire wear and temp numbers in the garage after this race, but I don't think we'll be able to see that. But we're coming down to 2 to go this time by Finian for Beckner. He's just coming through the final chicane now, so I think that our data for fuel mileage is wrong, unless these guys are going to bid on the white flag. I think these guys should be fine to go into the checkers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is definitely going to be the case. So Beckner doing a really solid job. Ryan Hart's really falling off. And, you know, I would almost want to put maybe, I don't even think he would be saving. I think he's just struggling with the tire wear. Can't quite keep up with Beckner. He's still he's 7 seconds behind now, but still 15 seconds up the road from Eric Wineland, who we haven't really mentioned a whole lot about. He's had a really quiet day in the second half of the race in third place. A lot of action has been going on behind between Shane Wolf and Slaughter. Both of them going side by side and sideways through some of these corners. Speaking of a little bit sideways, coming back to Danny Ware, I think just saw AJ Roderick get by him in the 56.
Yeah, Roderick doing the best he can, and that number 56 currently in that 8th position, ahead of Tyler Hallman. Finally, we haven't followed that battle for quite some time, but they were battling pretty hard, and interested to see how the points do shake up here. But Beckner is coming through oval 3 and 4 now, Finian. We're about to take the white flag here. And fuel looks good. Tires don't look good, but they'll be good enough to get 2.2 more miles around this place.
Yeah, he's going to stay out, and he's going to come and take the white flag presented by Eisen Designs. Or sorry, not Eisen Designs, Elwood Designs.
We were talking about the ad reads, Finny. We were talking about the ad reads.
Always got to mess it up at some point. Elwood Designs sponsoring the white flag as the 28 of Beckner working his way on through sideways a little bit. You definitely see that he has been a little bit better at managing his tires than some of the others. And it's amazing, too, because he's had so much at pace. 8 seconds now the gap to Hartz.
Yeah, 8 seconds is quite a big gap. But then again, as you said, Hartz has 16 seconds. So these guys have been class of the field. I don't think they're really outside of the first restart. And, well, I guess the second restart for that matter. There really hasn't been a challenge. Once he got the lead, he just put the jets on, and he has just been out, and he'll put himself in the playoff picture with, coming into this race 2 points out. He's going to change the bubble and change the orientation of the playoff lineup, have himself locked in along with Hartz, and he only has a couple more corners to make that happen.
And you see Beckner working his way on through, back onto the oval section through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Going to put Martin 1 lap down, 13 on the lead lap. It's been pretty much absolute domination from the man up in front, Travis Beckner. He started on pole, drove a flawless race, and he'll come sideways. Look at that drift out of turn, the final turn. It's going to be the 28 Travis Beckner taking the win here at the Roval.
Yeah, he's pulling off his best Slaughter impression here. Little does he know probably what has been happening this entire race, but he's drifting here, and we're going to have a ways to go. Hartz just finished for P2, and waiting for our podium, Eric Wineland to finish, still waiting here. He's just coming through about 26 seconds off, but that'll wrap up our podium, 21 of Eric Wineland.
And here come flying on through, sideways for both of these guys. Oh, that's almost dead. Slamming the wall. It's going to be Shane Wolf in 4th, Brad Slaughter in 5th. Rounding out your top 5, Garrett Grant in behind them in 6th, AJ Roderick in 7th, Danny Ware in 8th, Justin Anaskak, I think, did he drop back a few positions? I think he dropped back to 9th.
Yeah, I think he was running about 7th or 8th, but maybe those tires, even though they were the newer tires, maybe he used the good off them and dropped back, but still a good run, and it'll be interesting to see how that does shake out in the playoff picture. And Colin Fambro rounding out our top 10 here is still have some guys cooling down here, and you can see these guys congratulating Beckner on his dominating performance this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Really no one real close except for Hartz, but even Hartz, I think, didn't have the long run pace. I think the short run pace, Hartz could hold a candle, not so much when it came to the long stint. I think Beckner just looked after his stuff just a little bit better and just had the overall pace. And he's going to do a little bit of a burnout here in the chicane. Indeed, he will.
And who's that joining him there? Is that the
Martin?
That's some team
Jordan
affiliation there.
I'm just about to check that as well. Either that, he might just wanted to join in the front.
No, yeah, he's just joining in on the fun.
Jordan Martin with Jacob Bell Racing. That's actually the 3 of Ryan Hartz. That's his team.
And Slaughter is on Elwood Designs Esports, so the white flag will be happy because the sponsor and the team got to celebrate that. But again, a great run here. The Charlotte 75, as you said, only about an hour race, and well, luckily these guys were able to finish it on fuel fitting. We were kind of planning a strategy that never happened, which is slightly disappointing, but either way, a great run for these guys. I'm glad to be in the booth with you for it.
There's Brad Slaughter giving a little bit of congratulatory bump to the 28 of Beckner. It's going to throw the cones out of the way, and he's going to light him down on the front stretch. He was saving his tires all this time, and they could finally let them loose.
Yeah. Can't do a burnout through AstroTurf. Come on, Travis. There we go. Get some smoke for us.
That being said, that stuff is surprisingly grippy. There's a bunch of guys going out there in the braking zone in the chicane, just on the AstroTurf. And I was saying last night that good thing that it is AstroTurf. Otherwise, they're going flying around.
Yeah, exactly that. And they finally updated that so it doesn't make smoke. So good, at least good job in that capacity. But he's going to do his potentially Polish victory lap here. Whether he does the Polish victory lap on the road course, it will be one to see. But we have our final results on screen.
Indeed, again, it's Beckner taking home the win with a dominating performance. 9 seconds up on Ryan Hartz, who gave it his all, couldn't quite get the win. Eric Wineland doing a really solid job. You can see one of the few non-playoff drivers to just kind of squeeze his way into the playoff field with everyone else. James Shanewell, Brad Slaughter, Garrett Grant, your top 6 with Adrian Roderick, Danny Ware, and Justin Anasagak and Colin Fambro rounding out your top 10.
Oh my.
As Beckner decides to end his car.
He's not taking that one to later anywhere on the schedule or next season. Tyler Hallman will finish 11th. Had a better run, but just couldn't finish it out. Swerve and Irvin will finish in 12th. Ryan Spawn with the 13th. Jordan Martin with the 14th. Bobby Tinch, quiet run. I don't think we talked about him at all, but he finished in 15th. Jacob Bell with a 16th, and then the rest basically was attrition here tonight. Segan's 16th, Litzenberger 17th, Charles Canita in 19th, and then Adam Capps in 20th.
And rounding out the final few finishing spots, it's going to be mostly retirements, actually just two retirements on the screen. Logan Hartman, Matt Cochran going to be finishing 21st and 22nd. Sean Mitchell and Cameron Hearn also, actually Cameron Hearn I don't think took the green flag, and Sean Mitchell retiring earlier, finishing back in 23rd. Well, that's going to round out your finishing results here. We got Ryan Hartz waiting in the booth. Grab him for an interview. Ryan Hartz, SimTV booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Ryan unfortunately came out just a little bit short. Ended up finishing in second place. It wasn't quite enough to chase down Travis Beckner, but looking back at this race, is there anything you felt like you could have planned differently? Maybe some sort of strategy to get yourself ahead of Beckner?
There's nothing, not strategy. I mean, I pitted before the comp caution, and I knew Travis was going to pit with me, so that wasn't a way I was going to get around him. I really felt like I had something for him before the race started because I posted the fastest lap in practice. And usually this is my worst road course, and I'm not a road course ringer by any means. So I kind of had high expectations for tonight, and I just burned the tires off trying to get to him. But I really can't complain because last 3 finishes, first, and second. So on to round 2.
Yeah, definitely on to round 2. And speaking of round 2, what are the plans for the rest of the playoffs? What's your game plan going forward for these last 3 rounds?
For these rounds, I really think we have a great shot at the title this season. Obviously 4 wins already, lots of top 5s, lots of laps led, and I really feel confident in myself and this whole JBR team to get me to the Final 4 and hopefully grab this title, because it's going to mean a lot to me if I get it done. But the next round, Martinsville, practice is going to start as soon as tonight. So Martinsville and Michigan, those aren't my best tracks, but I can definitely make it work. Hell, I won Bristol Dirt earlier in the year, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing on dirt. So maybe I'll pull something out of the hat, and hopefully make the Final 4 and win this thing.
All right, well, congrats on your second place finish, Ryan. Best of luck to you in the rest of the playoffs.
Thanks, guys.
And moving on to our next interview, we got Eric Wineland. Eric, the start of the race, I think, was a little bit more chaotic for you, but it seemed fairly calm for the rest of the race. In third, you were able to get ahead of Shane Wolf and Slaughter as they were, I think, busy trying not to spin out in behind you. But you had a really solid job, especially considering you're a non-playoff driver, but you kind of managed to poke your nose into that field.
Yeah, Finian, the Swift Lifestyles Ford F-150 was pretty solid tonight. The first stint of the race there before the fun flag, I buzzed the rear tires a little too much, so I couldn't really attack the track like I wanted to, and then I decided to take care of it that final stint on the restart. Had a little contact with Garrett Grant. They're going through the infield section, and I was able to get by him at least, and then Brad made a mistake in front of me. I took advantage of it, and James followed him through, and then those two got to battling and made it pretty easy the rest of the night. But I definitely was stressed seeing the gap and watching the mirror.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and also talking about you again, just poking your nose in the playoff field. Obviously, you don't have the championship to be looking forward to, but it seems like you got pretty good pace, obviously, on the road course. But looking at the rest of the calendar coming up, Martinsville, Michigan, Vegas, you feel like you might have a chance to put yourself back inside the top 5, maybe even fight for the win?
Yeah, absolutely, Finian. The season's been a struggle. It did not go the way I wanted it to. So I haven't, admittedly, probably haven't put as much time as I should because of that toward the back half of the season here. But decided to make the return tonight and have a good run. And in this great trunk bullet design company giving me the great paint tonight. And we made it work. So looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm absolutely excited for the tracks upcoming. You mentioned Martinsville and getting Phoenix in there. Phoenix, right?
Martinsville, Michigan, and Vegas.
I'm a big mile and a half guy. I enjoy the mile and a halves. I like them in the trucks because it's not quite a draft race, but you got to be really strategic about things. So definitely looking forward to that one. And Michigan, Martinsville, not my strong suit, but maybe we could pull something out like we did tonight, Vinian.
Well, congrats, Eric. It was a really solid drive for you up into third place. Best of luck for you for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks to the CNC logging guys, and of course you guys here at SimTV and the area guys for putting this all together. It's great to go back and watch.
All right, and with that, going to go to our last interview of the night. It's going to be race winner Travis Beckner. And Travis, got to say, nothing really. I mean, there's really much more to say than just it was pretty much utter domination up in the front for you. I got to ask, how was the truck feeling at the end? Because you look like you had that thing in control, under your control for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, this Collier Cutter Chevy Silverado tonight was awesome. Throttle control is what helped me out the most. Them curbs, you could not use them in the Cup Series, and you could definitely use them in the trucks. Oh, that was a fun race.
Yeah, I was going to say, imagine it'd be fun going out there just winning by 9 seconds. I wish I knew how that felt, but I'm not that good. But Travis, obviously you weren't in a position where you needed to get that second win, but obviously going out there is just a little bit more comfortable. Looking at the rest, I'm going to ask you what I asked Ryan Hartz. Looking at the rest of the playoffs, where do you think you may find yourself doing well and potentially struggling?
I think I could do well at the rest of the tracks this season. Martinsville is marked on my calendar, though. I've done quite a bit of practice there, and that race should be fun. It's probably going to be a wreck fest, 180 laps. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is going to be a long race. Hopefully it goes well for you.
Yeah. Well, I just can't wait to smash another watermelon or do the pinata smash to complete the track house celebrations.
Well, we'll see if you can get it done, Travis. Thanks for talking to us, and best of luck for the rest of the season. All right, and with that, it's going to wrap up our interviews. I just want to see if we can quickly get a points tally and see what the guys are doing, see who's going to be making out to the next round, who's going to be eliminated.
Trying to see if I could refresh it on my end. I don't know if it's happened yet, but it would be interesting to see that.
It looks like they have updated it.
Oh, there it goes.
And from the looks of it, it looks like Tyler Hullman's going to be, and actually pull up the points on the screen here for everyone to see at home. So looks like Hullman's in. Paul Irvin is also going to stay in. I'm trying to see if anyone came out. Cameron Hearn looks like he's going to be eliminated. Oh yeah, so Cameron Hearn's going to be eliminated. We didn't even really mention him as being on the cut, but he's back in 9th after tonight, so he's going to be eliminated. Jacob Bell is already out, so he's going to stay out. Hunter Collier, we know, wasn't here. So going in, Travis Beckner, who is on the cut from 9th. He went up into 4th after a really solid performance. I guess that makes sense considering how well he performed here. So it's going to be Beckner in, Hearn out, going into the final second to last round of the playoffs, the next 2 rounds that are going to take part. So a little bit of a change in the order there.
Yeah, of course, all these are unofficial results, and we'll wait for things to be fully posted, but definitely that's what we expect to happen. But all in all, Finian, a great night. I was happy to be here, had an absolute blast covering this with you, a bunch of good guys, some good racing, and maybe we can do it again in the future.
Yeah, I gotta say, gotta give props to everyone here that, you know, the driving was really good. There's a lot of times guys could have just easily taken each other out, but gave a lot of respect to one another, and you gotta love to see it. We'll see if that respect is going to continue for the rest of the playoffs, because once you start to throw a championship on the line, it seems to be a lot less respect, especially heading to Martinsville. So we'll see how that ends up. You can tune in next week for that race. But the next Stream 4 area is going to be this Thursday. It's going to be the Xfinity cars going to be taking part in the Charlotte Roval, and that's going to be for the Lodge Box Xfinity Series presented by Area. So can't wait to see them take to the track. But for now, I'm Finian Kuna here with Corey Silver with Sim TV. I'm going to be signing out for tonight. Thank you for watching.